Hey, this is Reginald Perryman with RegiusRealEstate.com. Just here to break down, we're going to analyze some properties here under 15,000 because I keep getting calls, especially from out-of-state investors. The prices are attractive, but I just want to break down why some of these properties make sense and why they don't make sense based on your investment strategy. Now, I mentioned in a previous video about the dietitian versus the butcher type mentality, and the dietitian wants you to have a long, healthy life, and that's what I'm here to do for your home buying experience, as well as your investing experience and your investment goals and things of that nature. So I looked through a list here. Let me just go back and show you guys how we search for property. So I looked through a list here and went 0 to 15,000 in Detroit. As of today, there are 114 properties on the market, right? So just for example, 14.9, here's a property on Artesian. For me personally, this one would be a no-go based on the amount of repairs needed, as well as the ARV for the area, right? Now, it may work for you, you may be able to negotiate a better price for yourself and things of that nature. But we want to keep this in mind. How much do I have to pay? How much is it going to cost to renovate? And how much time, how long is it going to take, in other words? So when people call and say, Reggie, I'm looking to invest in Detroit, one of my questions is, what's your budget? And the response I always get is, it depends. Well, it depends is not a legitimate answer. What I'm looking for is, what's your overall budget? I'm talking about what is your budget for acquisition plus rehab. I'm going to show you why I asked for the entire budget so we can determine what makes sense for you. So for example, let's say you want your budget, you tell me your budget is 14,000 or 15,000, and you're going to get properties like these, right? So out of all 114 properties I've seen, I think Algonac may have made the best choice. This was, well, not the best, but one of the best. So we look at Algonac here, right? And I'm looking at the photos. Brick structure, needs a roof, property this size. So I'm gonna put maybe about $4 grand into the roof for a tear off. It's pretty flat, so it's not going to be expensive. The cost is in the square footage here, right? So you don't have a lot of peaks and valleys on this roof like you would a large 2-story colonial or something like that. It's pretty much just up and over. So your roof, your gutters, your fascia boards, I'm just going to say 4,000, 4,500 depending on the contractor, right? So then we're looking at interior. You're going to need some redo the floors. This floor may have some water damage from the leaking roof, possibly. Bathroom, redo the floors there. So you got a subfloor exposed. You can just go down with a laminate, vinyl plank laminate or something like that. You can possibly keep the sink. I would have to see it in person. Keep the sink for now. Get everything ready. If the toilet is in good shape, possibly I'll just replace the toilet. Don't be cheap. Replace the toilet. Tub may be something you can use. Paint, things of that nature. But the reason I'm kind of questioning the sink is because you can get the house occupied, start collecting some rent, and then put the money back into your upgrades depending on the tenant and things of that nature. So you can start cash flowing some money before you go in and invest. It's up to you based on your investment strategy. So I've seen investors do it both ways. That's the only reason I suggested it. Me personally, I would just redo everything. I want I don't want any problems with any of the used stuff, if possible, right? So here, I love the basement, open basement, exposed walls. This is just poured basement. It doesn't look like it's blocked. Basement, floor open. You don't have to tear out any molding, drywall, damaged drywall, framework or anything like that, any paneling. So this is good. Just clean out and paint. Hot water tank is there. Wouldn't trust it. Gonna need a hot water tank, possibly new furnace. More than likely, if it's been vacant sometime, you're gonna need a new furnace. So with that, let's say your HVAC, hot water tank, let's just say $5,000. I'm just keeping it simple. So you got $9,000 into this with roof and hot water tank, central air, and furnace, right? So you got 5, you got 4, you got $9,000 into it. Let's say the inside you're gonna spend like another 6 or 7. Let's just round this off now. Let's just say 15,000. You got 15,000 into this property. It is listed at 14.9. I did some comps earlier for this property, so let's look in the area now. I only want properties that are repaired, that are fair to average condition or better. I don't want more distressed sales as comps, because I'm not looking for the distressed value. I'm looking for the repaired value. So when I come here, I got 5 properties I did within a half mile of the subject. All right, so we got some properties. This one is in a little bit better shape. They only have 1 photo. 50,000 was the sales price. This one is a little bit actually closer. Has the natural fireplace. Kitchen is, it's average. They look like they did like a backsplash. They replaced the countertop and the cabinets. Nothing really expensive, just pretty standard. They put in the, looks like the stove and oven there, so that's good. Oh, bathroom. So bathroom's pretty basic. They didn't replace any tile here. Actually, I would have recommended just glazing this. You have contractors that'll glaze this for about $400 to $500, depending on the size of the bathroom. Reglaze this and the walls for maybe $700. Reglaze the walls in the tub for maybe $700, $750 for a bathroom that size. Nothing special, nothing special, nothing special, nothing special. Here's what we're talking about, that open basement, except this one has block foundation walls. So open, painted, painted, painted. Don't have to worry about pulling out drywall, framing, trying to work out sections, which room is going to be this room. You can build it out later or just leave it open if you're going to rent the property. Grubner 35 9 on Suzanne. This one on Beelan, this one is actually closer, but again, it's brick front, frame side. Algonac was completely brick. Newer roof in the front. This property was weird, had an old roof in the back, newer roof in the front, but as you can see, nothing special about the bathroom, the sink, nothing special, just decent rental property. Garage, nothing really too special, needs some work. But even then, this property was went pending within 12 days on the market at 33.5. So the property we were looking at, we assumed that this property at 14.9 was going to require about 15,000, give or take, and repairs and updates, and so you're about 30,000 all in. So this is where it gets kind of not complicated. We make it simple. So when I ask you what's your total budget and you tell me 35,000, the next question is, do you feel like renovating a property? So you buy one of these properties for 15, you put 15 into it. So let's say you get a contractor and it takes you a month to put this property together, versus buying another property, such as the other property we looked at, and that property is going to take you a week to put together and put a tenant in there and start collecting money. So you have your $35,000, you have a property ready in a week, you start cash flowing within a week. Or you got your $35,000, you spent 14, then another 15 a month later, and a month later, a month and a half later, or whatever, now you're collecting money. So do you turn 35,000 and start collecting money within 2 weeks, or do you take 35,000 and you start collecting money within 6 weeks? The choice is yours. But when people call and ask about some of the lower end properties, sometimes it makes sense to spend 50,000 or 60,000 for something that's turnkey. Or do you want to go through the process of finding something cheaper that's probably going to still be below ARV? That's where it makes sense. So let's go back to this example. You were buying this property, let's say the ARV was 50,000. Without a shadow of a doubt, there was enough comparables to show you that this property is worth 50,000, but you're going to be 30, 35 all in. That may make a lot more sense than the ARV is 35 or 40, but you have to put 30 or 32 in it, right? So that's where determining your full budget and explaining that to the realtor or wholesaler that you're working with, what your intentions are, and it goes back to this. And when we're analyzing deals, we want to look at, if you're an out-of-state investor, or if you're here and you don't really know the area, just do a quick Google Maps on it. Walk the block. You know, just walk up and down. You'll see, okay, there's an abandoned house there, probably ready for demo. They tore the one down next door. Rest of the block looks pretty decent, you know. I mean, pretty uniform. So let's break this down again here. So you got this property, you got 30,000 into it. Rent in this area, and I always look at consistent rent. People always go, well, what's the most I can charge for rent in the area? I don't want the most. I want the most consistent rent, because if I have to replace tenants every 3 to 4 months, that's not making you any money, because each tenant, once they stop paying, it's going to take a month or so to get them out. So if you replace 2 tenants in a year, you're probably only collecting maybe about 6 months of rent, right? For the entire year. I want the most consistent. So for this area, you can go on Rentometer or Rent Meter or whatever. Yeah, it's rentometer.com, and there's other sites as well. So let's just say $750 to $800 for this. It's a 3-bedroom. $800, you got $880 in management fees, the property taxes on this, and this is a whole nother video. I'm going to talk about property taxes in Detroit. So this property is non-homestead, already non-homestead, which is great, but the cap may come off when you purchase the property. I'll talk about assessments and things of that nature in another video. But let's say your taxes are about just under $1,000, but they may go up. So let's say you got $100 a month taxes, $100 a month insurance, and that's being a little out there. But let's just say you got $280 in expenses, you got $800 rent, you got $280. So we're gonna go 0 elementary school, carry the 1. So you got $520 a month. Your net is $520 a month for about $30,000 invested. That's how I analyze properties here in Detroit. And again, we want to look at, do you want to take the time to renovate these properties? Do you want to sort through 114 properties to find one that makes sense? Or do you just want to go at a little bit higher price point and buy something that's not going to take the time to start generating income for you? Again, this is Reginald Perryman with regiusrealestate.com. If you have any questions, if you like this information, just like the video, right? Subscribe and all that good stuff. on YouTube or any of the social media platforms. I have some upcoming videos, actually in a webinar. I'm going to explain to you, if you are not really ready to be a landlord, but you want to collect passive monthly income without all the landlord-tenant issues, I'm going to be teaching a webinar on seller financing, how you can take these same properties and get the same result, but without all the headache and liability of being a landlord. So we're going to talk about that a little bit further in the future. This is Reginald Perryman with Regius Real Estate. That's how you contact me. Visit the website or just keep up with my videos. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one.